Hard red spring wheat. Today we'll look at the Minneapolis Grain Exchange weekly nearby chart. We'll look at the daily nearby chart, as well as the Saskatchewan cash price and the Saskatchewan basis. My name is Trent Klarenbach with Klarenbach Research. Today is April the 17th, 2025. And the first chart I'll show you is the weekly nearby chart using July as the contract month. And I'll show you what I'm seeing here as far as stage analysis. Now, stage analysis, as Stan Weinstein brought it to my attention, as did Brian Shannon, and you can see here how effective stage analysis can be. Back here is what we call a stage one accumulation, as the price consolidates in a basing pattern, as the buyers and sellers fight for control of the trend. Now, back here in September of 2020, I wrote in the Klarenbach Grain Report suggesting that we are on the dawn of a golden age of agriculture, and we certainly saw that. We entered into a stage two markup. Now, this is where we want to be long, and it's certainly, by the extent of the stage two markup, it certainly was a golden age of agriculture, where we see values almost triple, gone up 2.5 to 3x, and on the Minneapolis Grain Exchange. Now, trends always come to an end, and if we look at this here, the stage two markup always comes to an end. We never know where the top is in until after the fact, but following a stage two markup is what we call a stage three distribution. Now, the stage three distribution is a sideways consolidation, as again the buyers and sellers fight for control of the trend. Now, you can maybe make a case for a stage three distribution up here, but I think it's really through here, a stage three distribution to this level. And once we broke below there and were decisive, we entered into a stage four decline. Now, that's what we've been in for the last 2 years. It's lower prices, it's lower lows, lower highs. But right now, since probably back in July, we've been consolidating, I would say, sideways, in a sideways manner. It looks like a stage one accumulation to me. And stage one accumulations often will lead to a stage two markup. Now, it's possible that this is just a slowdown, a consolidation, a stage four decline. We won't know till after the fact. But if we make a lower lows below, say, 550, 560, then we can assume that we're still in a stage four decline. And if we break out above 660, then it gives us some idea that we're entering into a stage two markup, which means higher prices. So I've been actually bearish, thinking we're going to come down and test these lows around $5. But the longer we stay consolidating here, the longer we stay trading above the screen 50-week moving average, which looks like we'll spend 2 weeks above it now, my bearish sentiment does erode with that as that time goes on. Let's look at the daily nearby chart. And yeah, you can see that we're trading above our green 50-week moving average. You're trading above this flat being out purple 200-day moving average. I love it when we're above a 50 and above a 200-day moving average. It gives me hope and is a strong indication we're entering into a uptrend. So I don't think it's going to go straight up. I think maybe we come back down, test this green 50-week moving average down at around that 600 level, maybe even as low as this 200-day down at, I guess that's more like 600, and fill this gap before we can build enough energy to move higher. But right now, my bearish longer-term sentiment is eroding. It's looking like, I'm anticipating a rally in the spring and summer. It looks like we're going to get it. But, if that's sustained, and, maybe it's a sign of a stage two markup. Let's look at the Saskatchewan price. Again, I'm bullish sentiment in Saskatchewan just because of the way the charts are looking to me. Neutral on the longer term time frame is, I'm just not sure if we're moving into a stage two markup or a continuation of the stage four decline. We track our recommendations, our ideas against the average price and the current price and the high price of the year. And right now, the Klarenbach price index is 40 cents above the average price for the year. So delaying sales to now has been a good move on your part if that's the case. The high price I have is 812. So yeah, you can get higher prices somewhere, but this is how we calculate the Klarenbach price index. So what it does, it gives you a sign of the trend. and helps make decisions. But right now, the prices, if you sold every day or every once a week for the crop year, you guess expect around that $7.54 a bushel. Well, right now the price is at $7.96. So 50 bushel crop, 40 cents a bushel, $20 an acre profit. That's nothing to sneeze at. It could double your profit per acre. It could maybe it increases it by 25%. Who knows? But it's holding delaying sales as long as possible has been the move so far this year. This is our logarithmic chart, and I draw on the trend lines on log charts, and you can see I connected these trend lines from these highs. And we got the retest of the trend line once we broke it, maybe even 2 retests, and now we're finding some resistance around that 300 level. We're above our rising moving averages. We anticipate a pullback before we break above this resistance, which coincides with the futures chart. All in all, it looks fairly bullish in Saskatchewan, which really applies to Alberta and Manitoba as well. And that's the log chart. We'll just go down to look at the basis, and this is our basis, index basis on the daily time frame, and you can see that we're above these previous resistance levels. We're coming back to retest it. Our moving averages are advancing. This looks like almost a head and shoulders, maybe a Dolga head and shoulders pattern with 2 necklines here, and maybe we get a substantial increase in the basis in the future. We can't rule it out, but that's kind of what the chart pattern's telling me. And that's what we're looking at. So my longer-term bearish sentiment is starting to erode based on the price charts. I haven't ruled out lower prices in the futures, 25% drop in the price from these levels, but until we make lower lows, we have to be reserved in our sentiment. My name is Trent Klarenbach. It's sunny in Saskatoon. Life's good.